much geared on one thing: impact and value for money. That's why austerity hit us. Over the last 15, 20 years, we could get a grant for everything. And it took our eye off the ball. So I ask you the question, would you be doing this if you didn't have a grant? The question to ask, because maybe, oh, if I get a grant, I'm doing it. Or they got a grant at the expense of me, so let them do it. And I'll just park myself until it's my chance. And as a result, now it's a time of famine. We're all wondering how we make this something that is truly beneficial for all. That's taken 2 years of extraordinary hard work because we were given a grant to engage 3,000 young people over 3 years. And I felt that was unrealistic. And I thought, what could we achieve, rather than the me approach, in achieving those targets, because those are only outputs, but I'm about the outcomes. So the me is the targets of output, the we is the collective impact of outcomes, because outcomes is the real social, cultural, and economic win-win-win. And if we're all looking for them to be employable or entrepreneurial, that's where business wants to be. So I'm not too much into the grant culture, although it's there to be used. I believe we need to get ourselves to that corporate social investment. And that type of feedback has businesses wanting to invest. A city is judged by the cranes and the beggars on the street. There are a lot of cranes in Manchester, and they've not worked out yet, and they recognise after the 2011 riots, we need to invest. Why? The market shifted by 3%. Do the maths at the time, and it will tell you how they woke up to the fact, we want to do business here, we've got to take care of the social and cultural business of those who are consumers, who are employees, or who are simply in the environment we wish to engage with. Is anyone feeling what I'm saying to you? Because it is valuably important. We would not know what each of you are contributing each week in your valuable contribution to the lives of young people in the community. How, therefore, does anyone know about the our strategy of Manchester, the new strategy, the spatial framework? These are all things that are going to shape your lives. But the one thing you can be assured, if I can say, here is Human Moss Side, here is East Manchester, because those are the two community campuses we've developed. There's one in Trafford that's going to be established. Salford, one in Media City. We're going to be developing one in Louisville. We're going to be developing one in Johannesburg. Why? Because when I go to the UPSs and I go to the big investors and I say I want £1 billion, they're not going to say I'm mad. I asked for $1 billion in 1997 and they said I was crazy. 5 big institutions went and got the money and they didn't want it, they wished. So now, many years on, we're going to find the real tangible evidence. So every single one of you can say, this is my contribution. This is the give back. Because a social coach is asked to give 2 hours a week. When people always ask, what do I want? I say, I want an hour from everybody in this community. But how are we going to measure it? How do we give confidence to the public and private funding institutions that what they invest is giving them the return on their investment? And guess what? When they can see the evidence of it, they'll invest more because they're pragmatic people. They're not driven by the altruism or the bottom line, but the triple bottom line is a win-win-win for everybody. Young people, communities, and our interests. And they recognise and get this. So at the moment, you're equally part of developing a new culture that could be community transformational. By what you contribute, you'll see the evidence of that contribution, and you can stand proud as I can and say, I know what me represents in the we, socially, culturally, and economically. And guess what? Here's my app, here's my evidence, scan, ping. By the way, the ping is what's engaged all the young people. That little ping. They can have tattoos if they want. Better than the tattoos that used to introduce them to the drug culture. They don't remember those days where you could get transfers as I would have them, but now transfers that actually hook them into a drug lifestyle behavior choice. I cannot emphasize what you're doing now is valuable, but it becomes invaluable and sustains all that you're doing. I can go to the owners of Manchester City Football Club, and I'll be meeting in the Middle East, and they will get that. Because they know what their investment is doing, not only in the talent that's going to the academy, but their willingness to engage the wider community. And the £1 billion investment in the Etihad now has real tangible impact. And we can ask them for more money on that basis. So the technology is now there. There is a platform that by your engagement, and this is all the post engagement that will follow, if you all engage with that, I make no guarantees in life, but I'll tell you what, whatever investment's coming into Manchester, you will get some of it and be able to sustain our communities. Because when you get the young person who says, I'm now ready for the hope that you provided, the opportunity I want to take as a result, if you cannot give them that job or give them the opportunity of being a successful entrepreneur, you have denied them and you've created a social junkie and you can't meet that habit. So it's taken a lot of time, but I believe it's ready and we're testing it. We're going to give it a try. And if I go to the town and I say, here are the collected numbers. These are the hours. This is where it was, the campus is made up of St Mary's, Moss Upland Powerhouse, the leisure centre, any one of any facility that engages young people, they give 5 hours a week of free access. 35 hours that social coaches then meet and deliver. All recorded, all fed back, all presented. Guess what? All they want are the figures. But we're keeping the real currency and quality and value. So please engage with it, please try it, please give us feedback, but please take on board this. What you're contributing to will change the world. We're a United Nations non-governmental organisation. We present this to the UN Assembly at the end of the year. So I know where my pressure is, because I'm now entrusting you with the core principles and values, with a curriculum for life, from the greatest, with his legacy. But it all started in a Mossad tragedy and experience. We're now 24 years on, 10 years of an legacy of engagement. But we all have to know what this journey means and what it represents. And every single one of you is critical. Every single one of you is valuable in being able to take this opportunity where it needs to be. Because I can't do it for you. I can write my book and go on the lecture circuit. It's community capacity. You deliver the industrial strategy, the Northern Powerhouse, you will get the money. So when Akil says he needs a laptop, I'm saying no, he needs a facility. When St Mary's need a refurbish, I know where that money is. Now you see you're outgrowing your success at St Mary's. Would you not prefer a nicer environment? It's a fantastic learning environment, but the building's looking slightly dated, isn't it? The roofs are flat, it leaks in. There you go. Oh, by the way, I've done my due diligence. This environment needs to be given its rightful place in a 21st century city to match the extraordinary work that you do. You guys in East Manchester are living large. I've seen your environment.
Not the community side.
No? Okay, well maybe it should improve. Have you seen where the players exist? And the young players.
Yeah,
It's 7-star existence. So you guys are still slumming it.
yeah, we're self-funded, community self-funded. We're a strong arm from the club.
Tell me something. How does one of the richest football clubs in the world that have their own corporate social responsibility investment into their own foundation
Well,
trust?
£5 billion to the local communities, Manchester built houses, businesses, offered jobs. So he sees that as his investment, and it's up to us to go out and do it because we want to do it.
But without any support.
We won't have funding. Yeah, we've got the Premier League, we find our own. Which is why it's very hard for us to fund that people.
I have a fundamental issue about one of the richest football clubs in the world going to public funds to deliver their offer. Let's be cynical very quickly here. You go into the community under social engagement and you discover a raw talent. And it progresses right the way through and ends up playing first team city football. The player himself will have his own foundation. And going out there, we're saying we're achieving both things. We're achieving community. The bottom line is, you're looking for the next big star. Agreed? Just asking the question. You're not. And if you find you're not, yours about social inclusion. Okay, so on that basis, if you want to live large, that, believe me, the developers in East Manchester give you 2%. It's called a social offset, a section 106. That instrument is done when they give the planning permission to allow big development. That section 106 can fund you and these communities in one simple stroke of a pen. By the way, I am negotiating that at this present moment in time, but what I wanted to know was I negotiating for the right reasons, and would I be left exposed? There's no rope and I can't shuffle my way out of it, because I've been presenting this to them for years. And all of a sudden it says, we want to hear your proposition. It makes sense. We have stress tested it. We've granted its due diligence. So we lost 11 million in youth service provision in 2014. So Howard Burnson asked me to do a review, and that's why the campus was developed. And I asked the chief economist at the Treasury, who happened to live in Hackney, where I come from, after the riots, it spooked him, and he says, we need to talk. There was a me interest, but we've developed a we opportunity. Money will not be a problem, ladies and gentlemen. It's what we do with the money that will be the challenge and the opportunity. So I'm wanting to leave that with you, within all that's been shared and downloaded, because for me, on the basis of where we've come from, where we are, and where we're going, I've now shared that with you. But it all starts with a spark, a raw talent, a red bike moment, a life led in sporting excellence and inspiration of generations that continue to see what we do here provide a next step opportunity of where we go from here. I selected those because they are what inspired me. When I was 17 at the time, Rumble in the Jungle. Not Fight in the Century, it's Rumble in the Jungle. 17, I decided that I wanted to do what he was doing, because what he was doing was ragger, cool, swagger, walking his talk, delivering his talk, and still standing up to anybody that wanted to argue with him with the words that were supposed to become so powerful. Then I met him in 1988, and it was a spiritual experience. And then I connected with the Muhammad Ali Centre in 2006, and the journey has been a consistent and remarkable one. But every single time, it's informed the Moss Side experience. So I've had the core values and principles. They are being lived in every single one of you, in every single life that's been lost. Actually, how many lives do you know have been lost? No, just give me a figure. 15. How many lives do you know have been lost?
About 8 from high school, that is for high school. Yeah.
Anyone here got names and numbers of those that know that lives have been lost? Their lives were priceless. Priceless. Benji Stanley was a 14-year-old schoolboy who was gunned down on the streets of Moss Side. His mother still wants to know what happened to him. But by Benji's tragedy, there is a global opportunity. Too many lives lost, too many lives disaffected, too many lives without hope. You all do this as a priceless me, but it has to be we. And everybody can say it's someone else's problem. But I'm here to say to you that all of those lives lost challenges us to ensure that what they should have been or could have been are reflected in these extraordinary young lives. I've met all these, I've done their assemblies. I've taken them to the House of Commons. They're presented at a legacy debate after the 2016 Games in Rio, and they knew their UN rights. They applied them. They challenged students who couldn't keep up with them. But I'm saying when they go to secondary school, will that spirit and talent and potential see them able to take on the challenges of life? That's what haunts me. That's what inspires me. And it should inspire you, because you have to be part of the we. I'll guarantee you a me, but this could never be about a me. I was supposed to be in Los Angeles, living large on my efforts in Moss Side. Well, hey-ho. How could you put a price on a life? How many of you see the Moss Side Millennium Powerhouse having any more value in this community? By the way, this is truth time. Now I need your truth, because I'm going to the town hall for a very important meeting. Does it continue? Or do we use what we've got in that campus of hub facilities that become more as a result of what for me is just simply a haunted place of past potential, not realising its full potential? The fact that no lives were lost. By the way, the Ali scholars went there in 2006. They were inspired. They said we need one of those in Louisville. By the way, inspired facilities throughout the world. But look at it. You guys deliver in it. How much of energy is operating? A third?
It's isolating person and manifesto were going to do that was great. To hear what radio in there and teaching, and then the residential part. So all things that were going to go on, massive. You know, I mean, we've got big sports hall and everything. We had everything we needed, studio, and then now it's just like it's just a shell. Offices, and it's hard for you people to come in there and feel like that's their youth club. You know what I mean? It don't feel like no. It's a corporate building. They allow you people to go in sometimes, and again, it's lost its youth element.
It's lost its spirit.
Yeah.
But if I said to you my error, I know it was a mistake, lives were lost being kicked out of that facility. Jesse James was killed outside the cage. That affected him deeply. That's not what it was about. But if I had now this currency of social coaches, that would still be thriving. Because a building means nothing unless, I call that the hardware. You are the software. You're the software that keeps it going. Every single one of you could have been deployed in that powerhouse and it would be thriving. Companies would be falling over themselves looking for the talent that you produce that they want to employ.
It has the potential to be that, but yeah, it just needs a bit of love. You know what I mean? It needs a bit of love. Like, we can, yeah, it's politics, everything. We can do everything we can as youth workers and open that space and say, but it's got to have that love in it for young people to feel like, yeah, I want to be here.
It did have the love, and then the love went.
Yeah.
Because St. Mary's, the Adventure Park, everyone was a hub that fed into that powerhouse. And then as a result, everyone became empowered. And everyone would decide what the grant strategy was. And then there'd be a collective supporting of a grant. And when the grant was secured, it was the next person's turn. But everybody recognized that there was the supportive. The grants came in when a life was lost. So now I would challenge the politics of the day. But I'm saying to you now, we have a chief exec who created the regeneration miracle at Manchester. We now have a new chief exec who's about communities. The opportunity has never been greater, but it will require we. There's no me about this. So the platforms are now there. Your names, email addresses, and mobiles will engage you, and all of this information will be uploaded. But be under no illusions. What happens to it next will be what you do as a me to that collective we. For me, it's simple. As I always say, all of those quotes are about what this is about. And there are so many quotes that can inspire you. But I just pulled those out because, for me, it was something about what I believe you can be about. Why the Muhammad Ali Centre and the Ali Legacy is coming to Human Lost Sight, Manchester. UPS need to be encouraged that what's happened here today is of immense value. They work globally. So we're being strategic. You've got to become strategic. Coming to St. Mary's always tells me, I look at those young faces, I go, we owe it to them. We owe it to them. That they be managing, running, performing, whatever they want to achieve, it is their right of opportunity, a fundamental right of opportunity. When I took Erin around the community, she has a very profound, insightful, emotional intellect. In other words, she can feel. What do you feel, Erin?
Fences. Gates.
Barriers. What else?
Absence. There wasn't a lot of people on the street.
Community, spirit. Here it exists,
Here.
but beyond that school gate, I don't feel it. Great work here. I spent an evening where they celebrated the life of Muhammad Ali, and there was a community thriving and competing for resource. Agreed? What's the ideal scenario, though? What's the dream scenario?
Every community should have it. Based on opportunity. Work together and develop community.
And as diverse as you are, all things considered divided, all things Brexit, soft Brexit, hard Brexit, they're still going to have to do business with you. they're still going to have to engage with you. Everything that we do will be informed by words that can inspire us. That's my killer quote. Whatever second, whatever minute, whatever hour, whatever day, whatever week, whatever month, whatever year, on March 23rd, the Youth Charter marks 24 years in this community. We enter into a quarter of a century of existence. That's why I'm getting up front and personal and Ali-esque, because there ain't no more politics. I ain't interested in politics. I'm doing business. And the business is how we engage and empower our young people communities. But you've got to want it, and need it, and require it. In everything, whatever days you may count, you will count the value of it. Rick Cheatham produced that. There are now 250 images of global citizens like you who do extraordinary things and are celebrating some of the faces in the crowd. And just my own homage to people who inspired me: Arthur Ashe, Bruce Lee, Maya Angelou, Angela Davis, Malcolm X, Bobby Charlton, George Best, Franny Lee. Franny Lee was the chairman of City who came on the streets and actually engaged. And Freddie Pye, they all came on the streets. They didn't need to be speaking to an agent. They came because it's important. And they came to Proctor Youth Centre, and the first project was done. Go and see the Agora space. They said it would survive 2 weeks. It's still there, in need of refurbishment. Mandela was a Christian. Muhammad was a Muslim. Both were boxers. One in a cell, one in the ring. Both fought social injustice. Both suffered and sacrificed, and as a result were respected, admired, and transcended all 5 continents. That's all this is about. That's all it will ever be about. That is the Youth Charter's philosophy. Not many people understand that we're going to do a 21st century interpretation of that. But that was the former Executive Director, Rennie Anu, of UNESCO, because I was looking for something that would encompass us and represent us. But everything that you do from this moment on, you cannot say you've not been informed, equipped, engaged, and empowered. Whatever you provide, I will be able to enrich and bring back to you. But it will take all of you to contribute. Okay?
I wanted to, if I put the entire memorial, Muhammad's memorial services homegoing celebration onto your flash drives. You can also YouTube most of it. I pulled it from a local news station in Louisville. But if you do nothing else, please go back, if you didn't watch it, watch Lonnie Ali, Mrs. Ali, his wife's eulogy and speech, because she speaks directly to what sort of has been my call to action in the last 6 months. She talks about Joe Martin, and I won't quote her because I wouldn't dare quote the great Ali, but she talks about the miracles that can happen when one adult engages with a young person and how you can transform that person's life. So take a few minutes tonight. I would encourage you to just watch her words and watch her message to the world, something that was very carefully sculpted as she represented Muhammad in his last moments. All of you are going to leave today with Muhammad's autobiography, Soul of a Butterfly, which is also just one of my core teachings, just what guides me in my work. It's really quite beautiful. It was written for young people, really, so you can share it. His daughter, Hannah, she is reflected in here as well. It'll take you through his core principles, gives you great stories about his life, so enjoy it, take it with you. I hope you'll utilize it. It's been really my great privilege to be with you all today. I am very accessible, so do not hesitate to email me, to call, to reach out through Jeff or directly to the Ali Center. I'd love to continue to be in conversation with you. And I imagine this will not be the only time I'll be over here, so I hope to see you all again.
So the platform will be there. There's a lot being shared. There's a lot you're going to reflect on, and there's a lot you're going to share with others. But you are now the social coach generation that will engage, equip, and empower future generations, but on the basis and shoulders upon whose greatest legacy you now take forward as a result. Thank you to St Mary's. So please convey another special place, another special moment, where special things happen. I sincerely want to thank you. It couldn't have been a better diverse reflection of a community people still want to give up on, or a city that they say is enjoying so much growth. But you know, Manchester, Moss Side, is a city of activism. I learned last week in a citizenship ceremony that I presided over that Emily Pankhurst was born in Moss Side. And then I knew there was something special about this Moss Side. Great things happen in Moss Side. So let's make it happen. Let's make it count.